Good evening, everyone. Migrant leaders, mentors, and mentees, thank you so much for joining this Connect conference. From time to time, Migrant Leaders holds this Connect conference now as a webinar because we are operating from more than 94 locations across the country. And this enables many of our mentors to join. And importantly, it allows the young people on our Migrant Leaders program to join this webinar wherever they are and whatever they are doing. So I am immensely grateful to our Migrant Leaders mentors for their incredible commitment to our charity and developing our young people, giving them guidance and opportunities. I am personally very, very grateful. Thank you for that. As you know, I launched Migrant Leaders 5 years ago. After spending 23 years as a finance director in large corporates, GE, News Corp, and EY, I launched Migrant Leaders 5 years ago. And where we are today is that we have almost 1,100 mentors from 95 FTSE 100 and leading firms, 1,100 mentors, and just over 1,000 mentees, actually. And the numbers are rising, both mentors and mentees, because we have in the last 5 years tried to build a really brilliant, robust program with proper policies, processes, and procedures. And now that we know we've delivered this program again and again, improved and improved, listened and consulted, we know how robust our program is. So actually now is the time that we're going to be scaling up the number of mentors and mentees, as well as our corporate partnerships. At this point, we have 8 corporate partners. You know that Kantar was one of the first corporate partners who joined Migrant Leaders 4 years ago, over 4 years ago now. And Anglo American, Smith and Nephew, Salesforce, Ipsos, Westcon, BP, and many others have become official corporate partners. And together we deliver our work experiences, our workshops, insight days, internships that we design with these corporate partners. So they are unique opportunities for our young people on Migrant Leaders program. So what is our vision for the future? Certainly to reach out to more young people, to scale up the positive impact of our program to deserving young people across the country. Our young people are between 16 and 25. Some are first or second generation migrants, and others are from any ethnicity, disadvantaged backgrounds. And they are all very talented. Each of them have their unique talents and capabilities and strengths. And our job is to guide them so that they find their unique strengths and capabilities and find themselves hopefully in their destination careers so that they can be appreciated and really progress and fulfill their potential from there. What is also coming up for Migrant Leaders is a number of further collaborations and corporate partnerships. We've got our day at Meta on the 5th of December. We've got our day at Smith & Nephew on the 7th of December, and further collaborations that we will be writing to you about and encouraging you as mentees to get involved in. We will be also launching, you would have heard me speak about this previously, about our Migrant Leaders mobile app, which will hopefully be really exciting for both our mentors and mentees. We are going to be consulting with mentees on this as well, so that the mentees are also part of the design and campaign for the app, so that the usage of the app is maximized and the mentees are excited by our Migrant Leaders mobile app. I'll be telling you more about that in the coming months. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce one of our mentors and firmest supporters, Pierce, who is from Kantar Insights. Pierce has put together kindly a presentation, particularly for our mentees, so that they can be introduced to Kantar Insights, the kind of industry they belong to, what kind of clients they work for, what kind of people they work with, and the kind of opportunities Kantar Insights offers young people. So I shall pass over to Pierce.
Thank you, Elham, and hello, everyone. Some of you may have come across me before. For those who haven't, my name is Piers Taylor, and I do indeed work at Kantar. And hopefully I'm going to get a chance, if the technology allows me to share with you a little of what we do, what we're about, what some of our people do at Kantar today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a window into us. It is only a small window. So if you want to know more, you can ask questions on this call, or you can follow up afterwards. We're always willing and very keen to hear from anyone who's interested in what we do. We love doing what we do, so we love talking about it as well. So feel free. So the technology, I think, has worked so far. So we're gonna keep going, and hopefully it'll continue to do the right thing. So understand people, inspire growth. Kantar Insights. That's what we're about, and that's what I'll introduce you to a little bit of as we go through. But first, I'm going to introduce you to some of the people you'll hear from and a little bit about today. So firstly, there is myself, Piers Taylor. I'm a strategic client partner at Kantar Insights. And that means that I head up some of our key client accounts. We're an agency, we're a research agency, so I head up some of our key relationships with the likes of Unilever and some of our travel clients and beyond as well. So that's my role. I'm a client lead. You'll also hear from Rachel Evans, who's one of our managing directors. She's one of our leadership team at Kantar Insights UK. You'll hear from Edu, who's a fantastic chap. He is a client director in our creative team, and he has a great story to tell. And you also hear from Rumi, who's at the start of her career really at Kantar. So you're going to get a spectrum of experience of what people are like at Kantar. I'm going to bring them to you, I'm going to channel them to you in the form of video as we go further on. So let's start off with what brings us and you together. And this is what we believe to be shared interest, shared capability, the things we want and the things you guys as Migrant Leaders mentees are. So what we look for at Kantar is a number of different things that are really important in the world of market research and business in general, really. We look for people with keen problem-solving capabilities, people who are adaptable, people who are conscientious, that focus, that get things done, people who are self-starters and that are keen to build strong relationships with other people and other businesses. And actually, probably beyond anything else, we look for people with a strong sense of curiosity, people who want to push, want to ask more questions, want to find out more. And those are traits we believe that we need and we want, but that you have. So clearly a key reason why I'm here. But we're always keen to meet people who are like this. They're in many ways like us. And you know, it's a match made in heaven in many ways. So that's why, one of the reasons why I'm here. So what I should do is not just talk about the kind of thing that we look for, but what it is we do. So we do market research, but actually really these days it's called data analytics and consultancy. And what's the heart of that is the aha moment between a consumer, someone who wants to buy or use a product, and a product or a service. And what I mean by that aha moment is it's the moment that defines whether they'll choose it or buy it or want it. Now that's really important for businesses anywhere in the world, in any kind of business, because understanding that is your way to drive people to choose, buy or want products more. And if you can do that, then you drive value. And that means something to everyone, right? So insight is understanding the relationship between somebody who wants something, who wants to choose it, buy it, and that thing, that product or service. And that's where we sit. That's what market research does. It uncovers those insights and drives value for business as a result. And in today's world, there really has never been a greater need for insight. I'm going to really off some points on this, but many of them you'll you'll kind of know intuitively already. So market volatility. Well, goodness knows in the UK, we are in the eye of the storm of market volatility right now. 2 words: inflation, recession, right? That going on in the background is ever present in our daily lives. And that inevitably is going to shape how companies see the present and the future. You know, if you can navigate that channel between inflation, recession, and what consumers want and need, then you're going to be a better business as a result. And then there's disruption, and really we're living in a world of disruption at the moment. We've got the campaign for social justice. We've had COVID as a pandemic. We've got war in Europe. We've got so much going on. We've got inflation, recession, all this stuff going on in our lives and shaping some of the decisions we're making all the time, and shaping those decisions and therefore what companies need to do to meet our needs. So understanding that and providing insight on that is really important to businesses and ultimately to consumers as well. Then we've got the rise of technology and how things have changed so massively, even in the last 2 years. They've accelerated more probably than the last 10 in terms of technology. Just need to think about e-commerce and how much people buy online post the COVID pandemic. It's accelerated massively. And again, understanding the dynamics of it and how best to reach people, how best to get them to choose products and services is really important to businesses. And the final point I want to cover is the world of opportunity and the understanding that businesses get now more and more as to the complexity of the consumer world out there, the diversity of society, the ability to reach and connect with underserved communities, minority groups, has never been more prominent, never been more important. Again, it's about finding insight. Understanding those people and their lives helps companies to serve them better. So never a greater need for insight than now. And what Kantar are is the world's leading data insights and consulting company. I'm not going to put it in better words than this. We understand more about how people think, feel, shop, share, and view than anyone else. And we're very proud of this. We're very proud of our ability to know more than any other company in this space. How do we do that? Well, we've got 4 divisions, 4 prominent divisions as part of Kantar. We've got our Insights division, which I'm a part of, which really specializes in understanding consumers' minds, their attitude, their needs, their wants, and how that relates to brands and communication. We've got our World Panel division, and they're focused on consumers as shoppers, shopping, what people buy, when they buy, what else they buy it with, that kind of thing. Then we've got our Profiles division, and they're all about the panels that we use to survey people, and our Media division that understand, for want of a better word, media. They help advertisers to understand how best to connect with people through media. And the best part of Kantar comes when these divisions come together to provide combined insight, not just on consumers and their needs, but also them as shoppers, and how best to connect with them through media. Now, there's an awful lot more I can talk to around the credibility that Kantar have and the strength that we have in the relationships with our clients. But if you imagine some of these brands are just some of the companies, the clients that we work with as an agency supplying that data analytics and consulting. So you've got all the way from global partners, the likes of Unilever that I work with, through to what we call local giants, so companies that are so big in just one key market, like Natura in Brazil, for example. We've got specialists that are outside of the fast-moving consumer goods world, like charities, pharmaceutical companies. And then we've got, of course, tech companies that you'd expect. Well, you know, a lot of research agencies would have really strong relationships with companies that sell products on shelves in supermarkets, but actually we have some of our strongest relationships with big tech. So we're very versatile, and we work across this branded world with all of these clients. We generate an awful lot of data and knowledge and understanding, and that gives us the ability to produce what we know as thought leadership. So papers, white papers, industry thinking that help shape how advertisers, how businesses, how brands plan their route to success in the world. That's born from deep expertise within our business. So I'll talk to you briefly about some of the expertises that we have in Kantar Insights that help us understand that complex world that we're dealing with and help businesses do the best they can. So we have 5 key areas of business. The first one is what we call brand. It's all about understanding how brands grow and defining, building and managing brands for profitable growth, brand strategy. Next one is innovation, and that's really about new products, new propositions, bringing new things to the market that generate incremental value for businesses. Then we've got the idea of connecting with people and what we've got here in the form of our creative domain. So that's all about advertising, testing that for clients, making sure it's performing the best it can. Media, enabling clients to make the right decisions about channels and platforms to put their brand communication, their brand on, and ultimately how to win with customers. So the whole idea that when you buy a service, if you buy an airline ticket, you're buying more than a product. You want to be looked after throughout your entire experience. If we understand that, we can help clients to make the right decisions around it. So those are some of the expertises that we have. Now, today, I don't have the time to go into real detail of some of the individual things that we do in those areas, but suffice to say, there's quite a spectrum that we provide that consulting insight on. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk to you briefly through one case study of some of the things, some of the work that we've done with a given client. In this case, it's Audi in the UK. And there is a publicly available case study of this. So if you ever want to look it up, Audi in the UK, Beauty and Brains, it's called. You can find it online. So in the case of Audi in the UK, we were working with them for quite a while. They were the perennial challenger in the premium car market in the UK, and they'd set themselves a goal of stepping past the idea of being a challenger to market leader, to becoming the establishment, to beating Mercedes and BMW. And they worked with Kantar. We ran their brand tracking, we did a lot of their advertising testing, we did a lot of other studies for them to help them understand how best to do that. We used a lot of sophisticated analytics, some neuroscience techniques, and standard typical market research to help them understand how best to position themselves in order to appeal to people at a wider level than they were at that point. And some of the learnings at that stage, remember this is back in, well, between 2012 and 2018, we were able to show them that the most compelling parts of their brand were their flair, their creativity versus Mercedes and BMW, and ultimately their performance credentials. The net result was they created campaigns on that basis, and they were able to take themselves from challenger, selling less cars and with less brand equity than BMW and Mercedes, to market leader. They became the leading brand equity and the leading sales, leading seller of premium cars in the UK. Now, obviously, that's a case study on a page. That's very, very brief. But suffice to say, an awful lot of work, a lot of different data sources, a lot of different thinking went behind that. But that's the kind of power of insight in shaping business and brands' decisions to get them to the head of the market. So that gives you a bit of an insight into some of what we do at a broad level and what we can achieve. I think it's important to highlight that this comes through an awful lot of diligence and work from an awful lot of people at various stages of their careers. An awful lot of expertise is needed to shift brands worth hundreds of millions of pounds. So let's start to talk about what people might do when they first enter Kantar, in interfacing with all that expertise to help these clients. And what specifically do people do in their first year at Kantar Insights? Well, here's 4 broad areas. So number one is discovery and understanding how clients' businesses and brands work. Brands are complex, intangible things that we're able to help clients measure. And they require a good deal of baseline knowledge and understanding how they come together. What's the best framework for building a brand? So there's discovery around that, and actually how our clients' business works and how their brands and how the value is created in the business. There's the ability to learn skills in 1 or 2 areas of our business. So we have those different domains I spoke to, and really, there's an opportunity amongst people in their first year to try out at least 1 or 2 areas of our business, whether that's they'll start off in our innovation domain and then move into customer experience, or they'll start off in brand and move into creative. There's a lot of flexibility there, and you'll come on to hear a couple of examples from our employee testimonials. There's understanding how projects and data work and how market research works as an industry to support clients. And then ultimately being part of genuinely live projects. So we don't have our graduates and people who start with us in the back room for a year. They get to the front very quickly, and they get to be part of those live projects. They get to turn up to client presentations and be part of the delivery and even influence some of that delivery from early on in their careers. And you'll come on to see in a second when I start to reveal our videos that some of the most satisfying moments of doing a job in this sphere are seeing the effects of the decisions that you've influenced in market. You'll see the ads that you've fed back on to a client with changes as a result of that feedback. But anyway, I'm going on too long. What I need to do is to bring this to life through some of our real people in our business. And that is what I'm going to do, hopefully, with our first video from Rachel Evans.
Hi, everyone. My name's Rachel Evans. I work on the leadership team here in Kantar Insights UK, and I look after Kantar Marketplace, which is our platform for delivering agile research across Kantar globally. I live in Warwick with my husband, 2 kids and a dog, and I've been at Kantar. It was formerly known as Millwall Brown, but I've been here at Kantar for over 25 years, and I actually started on the very first graduate programme back here in sunny Warwick. Previous to that, I was a market research interviewer in a small company in Birmingham. And I really enjoyed going out and talking to people at the time on the streets, pretty much literally on the streets, doing interviews. And I always wondered what happened to the data and what our clients did with that data after I'd gathered it all from my many, many surveys. So I started working at Millwall Brown, applied for a role here, got the role, which was fantastic at the time. And my first client was Barclays Bank, where I would interview or work with the interviewers who were surveying their customers to find out what they thought about their service. And then I would write the questionnaires, I would code the data, I would check the data, and then I would do the analysis and deliver it back to the Barclays team at their customer centre here in Warwickshire. So I really enjoyed that, but after a few years in Warwick, I moved down to London, as many people did at that sort of age. And I worked on some more, perhaps, of our core clients, I would say, for Kantar. So McVitie's Biscuits, Bacardi, alcohol beverages, GlaxoSmithKline. And it was really just a great experience. And I think the role's always different, right? And the clients are always different and the brands are always different. And it's not just work in the UK, worked on a lot of global brands. So learning a lot about different cultures, so many great clients, such a great variety of people that you meet and present to along the way. And so many interesting things that you learn about brands and learn about what goes on in the marketing world that you didn't even really know existed as a sort of normal consumer. I'd say one of the really key things for me is bringing that passion every day to support the clients to really make their brands grow and make their brands a success. And that really gives you a great sense of achievement. And when you can see the impact that you've had, you know, when you're out in the shops or you're looking on the shelves or you see an ad on TV or you see an innovation being launched, then that always feels really satisfying for you and the teams that you work with. One of the really key passions of mine has always been supporting our clients in making great advertising. I've probably worked on over 400 campaigns when I was a client lead over time, and I just loved, again, seeing that impact, seeing your ad on TV that you maybe made suggestions to and the client took on board. And then you see it on the telly and you're like, oh, I told them to do that, I told them to say that line, or I told them to add that in. And that's always a really amazing, satisfying thing to see. And as I say, a variety of brands, from butter to Burberry, from Persil to Patron. I've probably worked on so many weird and wonderful things in my time. Never a dull moment, right? Always really, really interesting. And I would say, for a career at Kantar, if you bring your passion every day, you will absolutely find the roles, the jobs, the types of things that we do hugely rewarding and a great career path. Enjoy the rest of the sessions today.
Thank you, Rachel. So Rachel talks to passion, and I think that's really important in our field. It's not always something that you associate with market research, but we're heavily invested with our clients' brands and their success. So I'm going to play you another video from someone else. I think I may have run out of time beyond that, but I will give you at least one more view from Kantar, so you get a feel of the breadth of people we have and their experiences in the organization.
Right. So, hi everyone. My name's Edu. I'm from Barcelona, born and raised, and then at 24, I decided to move to the UK to work for Mill Brown back in the day. So that means I've been at Mill Brown / Kantar for just over 11 and a half years. Began mainly focused on creativity and brands. I worked all the way through link and tracking implementation. Then 3 years ago, when Kantar took the decision to split between pillars, I had a very easy choice to decide from the two sectors. I've always had a keen interest on advertising. That's I studied business administration and advertising with a focus specifically on that. So it just made sense. Mill Brown then, Kantar now, offered the possibility to hone in and focus on what's been a career interest for me since the beginning. I love storytelling. I love the door opening capabilities of narrative storytelling, and I love criticizing other people's work. So research felt like it was the right spot to positively contribute to enhancing the quality of the creative narratives that brave creative people have worked on putting together, helping clients in improving, optimizing that journey to reaching consumers in a way that feels genuine, that feels exciting, that feels compelling, that actually provides with the right solution to reach in a way that will come across as meaningful. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been a nice long journey through Kantar, Mill Brown. It's part of the great appeal is the focus that they put on helping people through their journeys, whichever journey that happens to be. As a migrant myself, I can easily say I've never felt any kind of block in my way within Kantar. It's a very open company in dealing with any kind of sensitive issue. I have never been made to feel uncomfortable or made to feel aside from the rest of my peers because of my origins. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. The industry allows for or opens the possibility for the inclusion of people from diverse backgrounds, because at the end of the day, we're here for the human inside, right? And how it shows has no barriers. So it's actually really good to have people from all backgrounds to really contribute to building a more robust, rounded picture of what we can help with. How do we actually decode human instincts? How do we actually tell human narratives and stories that will connect across borders and across backgrounds? So it's the right company in the right sector to be able to express that in a very open way. It works nicely. Best of luck.
Thank you, Edu. So I'm out of time, aren't I, LM? There is no more time for me.
It's all right. If you wanted to play the third one, you can. That's all right.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the extra permission. I think I should, if I can, because
yes, please.
it'd be very nice for you guys to meet Rumi, who's our final video, and you'll see that what we've done is we've gone from Rachel, who's very, very experienced. She's been around a long time in Kantar, to Edu, who's been around a while, 10 plus years, and now to Rumi, who's only been in the UK for 4 years and only spent 11 months at Kantar. So let's see what she has to say.
Hi everyone, my name's Ramessa, but I go by Rumi. Just to give you a bit of a background before I begin, I'm from Pakistan and I came to the UK around 5 years ago. And I've been here since, and I've been working at Kantar for the past 11 months almost. But yeah, so at Kantar, I'm a graduate executive in the Insights department. And the reason why I chose this role over any other grad role out there was because it allowed me to rotate to different domains and try new things. So essentially right now I'm in the brand domain, but I could rotate to either the analytics or the media domain just to try out different things. And for a new grad like me, that was really appealing because I was unsure about what I wanted to build my career in. So which is essentially why I chose this job. My career path is right now, I decided not to rotate. I stayed in one domain. And I really appreciate what I'm doing because I feel like my job is very rewarding and it teaches me a lot. So I would say the main first reason why I actually love what I'm doing right now is because of my work environment. So everyone around me is really helpful. Since I've joined, if there was anything I was ever stuck in, there was anyone I asked would be ready to help me, literally just take time out of the day and help me. But that's obviously having a good environment to work in is one of the main things. But apart from that, you get to work with different clients that work in different industries, and you can see how all these companies work, and you see what's important for each. Obviously, every company has their own goal, but you get to experience how all these different companies achieve those goals. So it gives you a lot of exposure to how all these varied processes work and how these brands grow in different contexts. So I think that's one of the main things that I've learned since I've been at Kantar, and I just feel like it's so rewarding because the brand tracking process it has loads of steps, but you're part of every step of the process from the beginning to the end. So you get to see the outcome of it. You as soon as you present, you get your feedback. Your clients tell you what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. So you can always work on what you've done. You can always fix what you've been working on because you've put all the effort into it. So like I said, it's really rewarding. It teaches you a lot. Your work environment is really important. Essentially, I think that's the best part about this company. Everyone's so helpful. It encourages you to work more. It encourages you to work harder. Essentially is why I like it so much. Obviously, I like what I'm doing, but yeah, the people around you just make your work a lot better, and it's very motivating. In a nutshell. But yeah, thank you.
And that was Rumi. So look, we've had our full spectrum, and you can see that from people joining the business, it's about the spectrum of opportunity and the breadth that's there. Then as people move through, they get more focused, like Edu, who's been really keen and focused on advertising and creativity, and then it becomes more about making sure that you'll continue to have that passion and seeing the value of what you're doing there out in the world. Awful lot of good that is available to anyone interested in the market research industry. So I'm going to finish now and just say, look, I'm glad you've had a chance to meet some of our people. Those three all have connections to me. So Rachel used to be my line manager. I used to line manage Edu, and Rumi's in one of my teams. So you get a sense from that of the spectrum of diversity in our business. You've got three people with really, really different backgrounds, all just connected to one person, me. So if you imagine that multiplied out by several hundred, you get a sense of the sheer breadth, the spectacular breadth of the kind of multi-faceted tapestry that we have in the world of market research. Anyway, look, that's enough of that. The reality is we'd love to see you at Kantar. We have opportunities. These are they. We have internships coming up next year. We have future roles that we're advertising for. So if any interest, do get in touch. We have a LinkedIn over there. I'm sure we'll make this presentation available to you, so you'll be able to connect to that. And we'd love to see you. And the final words I have to say is thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for bearing with the technology. I know it wasn't absolutely perfect all of the time. Thank you for being here. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you so much, Pierce. As ever, you are a rock star. And that was really, really brilliant, really insightful, really interesting. And thank you for bringing three colleague stories as well, which really brought Kantar to life. So I would really welcome our migrant leaders, mentees and mentors to ask any questions from any of us, particularly Pierce, regarding Kantar and the stories and things that you've heard. I think, Hiba, you've raised your hand. Would you like to speak?
Hi, yeah, I'm Hiba, and I would love to ask a question. Do you, you've spoken about undertaking market research data analytics at Kanta, but what does that research actually?
I think you were breaking up, Hiba, but I think what I heard was that you heard Pierce talk about market research at Kantar, and what we heard was, what does that research actually mean? Is there anything else?
That's correct. Yeah,
okay,
that's correct.
Wonderful. I'll let Pierce answer that.
Yeah, happy to. So it depends on the type of research that we're doing, but we'll use a simple example. So clients put a lot of money behind advertising. So if you put an ad on TV, for example, in a slot that people look at, you're talking about millions. Now, if you're spending millions on something, you want to get the biggest return possible from it. So you can make an advertisement and just put it out there on TV, spend 2 million on it, and hope that you get that return. Or you could make your ad, ideally in a really basic form first, and then test it with a sample of people. You can ask them some questions like, did you enjoy that? What brand was it for? What did it tell you about the brand? And would it make you buy the brand? And of course, the feedback from that you can use to work out whether spending those millions on putting it on TV would actually give you a return. Beyond that, you can also work out the things that people didn't like, or whether indeed your brand was obvious, as it should have been in the ad, and make changes before you put it on TV. And those changes can be worth the equivalent of millions. You get your brand in there, you spend $1 million or £2 million pounds or dollars, whatever you want to call it, that can be worth 2 million more than not having your brand in there at all. That's one example. Hopefully that helps, though.
Thank you, Pierce. That's great. We also have, thank you so much, Eva, for the question. We also have a raised hand from Charis. Please go ahead and speak.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cherise. I'm in my final year studying digital business and business management with digital innovation in the University of Warwick. And I think my question would be, what does training look like in Kantar? And what happens if an employee makes a mistake? Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an interesting question. So training and mistake, right? Okay. So we have a graduate program which provides a rotation for all graduates, or the option of a rotation through our domains, and you'll remember those perhaps as brand and creative and media and customer experience, etc. And each one of those domains gives them a training program specific to that domain. So they'll learn about advertising testing, or they'll learn about what makes brands grow. Beyond that, Kantar has programs for once people have reached the end of their graduate program, has ongoing programs to qualify people further up in terms of our tools, our solutions, and market research in general. Those tend to be tailored to the individual, so it depends on what you're looking for, rather than a stepped program through the business for everyone. So given the different expertises, there are different programs according to what people are looking for and what they're aiming for in their careers as well. So suffice to say, there is a pretty deep and enduring training program. I'm still in training, if that helps, and I've been with Kantar for 16 years. So every day is a school day. The other point was around what happens if someone makes a mistake. Well, mistakes are fine. They happen all the time. We're human beings, and that's part of it's part of learning, right? So there is loads of scope for mistake making, because you are rarely, if ever, on your own. At Kantar, we work in teams. The only people they let out, maybe on their own, are people like me who've been in the business for 16 years and seen and done an awful lot. So particularly for our more junior or inexperienced staff, they will always be part of a team. They'll always be working with someone, and that person will be checking their work and making sure everything's all right and that they're learning from it, and that person will have someone overseeing them as well. It's not to say that we have layers and layers of bureaucracy and ways to cramp people's style. It's more to make sure that everyone is looked after and safe, and that our clients also are protected. So there's never a situation where we're putting something in front of a client that we shouldn't. So everyone, it's a very safe environment to learn your trade and gather and develop expertise.
Amazing, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Do we have any other questions from mentees or mentors? Any comments?
Just a comment from me. I just want to say it's really great to see what you do, Pierce. I really like the emphasis on the person, the emotion, the drive. I think it's a very motivating environment, and companies should do a little bit more of that, because everybody needs to start from somewhere, and the way you are approaching it is so, as you said, it's a safe environment, but it's also empowering. You come out of it and you have got something back, and helps you, because it's a young age to make critical decisions. So having somebody that guides you through that is really great. So that was me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lucia. We'll come back to you for your career story a bit later, but we have Rahma, you have your hand up as well. Could you speak, please?
Yeah, just on the question of graduate training, what kind of skills and capabilities do you need for this type of role for the individual? What do they need to develop as they go through their academic year and skills outside? So that's just a question for Kantar.
So what are the skills that we're looking for, or what
Correct.
are the skills
and attributes? Yeah, so skills and
develop?
attributes. Yeah, kind of.
So to some extent, it depends on what team we're kind of recruiting for. But generally we're looking for some of the attributes that you may have seen me show up front. So kind of self-starter, someone who's not going to sit there and wait to be told things to be done. A sense of conscientiousness, curiosity above anything else is really important for market research, because none of us sit there and wait for problems to come along that we can solve. It's whether where you're first starting in your career, where you're dealing in data and finding answers to questions, you've got to be curious enough to follow threads in that data, find those insights. Or whether you're further on your career and you're looking for problems that your client may not have even dreamt up yet, that you should be helping them with, that you should be partnering them on. So I would say, pretty much above anything else, there's curiosity is important. There are some other attributes that are kind of more functional level. A lot of our business is quantitative, so dealing in numbers and data. So we need a little bit of numeracy, for example, for those businesses, in order to be able to do the basics of the job. But it's not necessarily like you need to be a qualified mathematician. We do have some of those guys in certain roles, but you need to know enough to be dangerous, perhaps, to know how to use numbers, and the rest of it is developed and learnt on the job. So the rest of it is trained in as well. So that gives you a flavour maybe of some of the things that we'd be looking for.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Piers. And thank you to those who've asked questions so far. Any other questions for Piers and in relation to Kantar before we move to any mentors who'd like to share in 1 or 2 minutes their career summaries?
If I may, Elham, Ashwin here.
Hi, Ashwin.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Oh, sorry. That was from a different Zoom call. The background.
That's all right.
Just put it in there. Okay. It's for Kantar. So Piers, fantastic presentation, by the way. Absolutely loved it. It's a joy to listen to you speak. The question I had was more around leadership development programs or high potential development programs that Kantar may have in the organization, because there may be one of those, a few of individuals who would come through the graduate program, and there's a bit of a spark, and they want to get up and get going and take on a lot of responsibility. So how does Kantar support those sort of individuals?
Yes, good question. So yes, and absolutely there is that scope within our organization. We do identify people at each level that demonstrate high potential, or hypo as we refer to it, and for those people we will invest in further development in a number of ways. And again, it's I've probably given a flavour of it already, but it kind of comes down to the individual and the job that they're doing and what they're looking to achieve. So that may be mentoring. It may be dedicated mentoring from a more senior member of staff, maybe even up to board level, to help that person, with the benefit of that experience. But it can also be targeted courses, as simple as targeted courses that are all about helping them develop skills that they may want to or may need for the next step of their journey. So, for example, a good few years ago, I was sent on a course, an external residential course that was all about discovery. So understanding clients' issues with external facilitators. That was really about, you know, breaking you down, helping you understand that as an individual working in any industry, you've got an agenda, and that agenda you will be taking into your meetings with your clients and trying to enforce on them, and it won't be answering their questions. So I was given a right going over, but I needed it. I was given quite a hard time. I was challenged very hard and shown that my me agenda was undermining the work that I did. So you know, I got that. I got another a targeted training course, which is all about strategy development, which not a lot of people have a chance to in Kantar, because of the particular direction I wanted to take my career in, and because of the area that the business felt that was important for me to learn. So yeah, as I said, it's partly down to the kind of individual and the path that they want to go on, but there is absolutely support for people that we identify as high potential. And actually beyond that, there is plenty of support for anyone at any level to achieve whatever they want to. So hopefully that helps in terms of providing a sense of what we do.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Piers. So if I may, without further ado, I will pass to mentors. And if I may nominate my good friend Lucia to be the first to spend 1 or 2 minutes describing her career story and background, please. Thank you, Lucia.
Of course. Thank you for having me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure so far. So my name is Lucia Di Gaeta. I'm Italian, and I've lived in the UK for nearly 20 years. I've got 2 daughters, teenagers, so that's a lot of fun. And I currently work as a global proposition marketing manager in a global distribution business. The company is called Westcon Comstore. And I sit in the marketing, the central team. The company is has got quite a lot of divisions, and our team is the one that sits in a strategic place when we look at how we translate our business objectives into cool and engaging content and strategies. So it's a lot of fun. How did I get here? So marketing was not really on the radar when I was deciding what to do when I grew up. So I studied languages in Italy. That's my main background. And even at the time, it was a bit of there was not a lot of thought put into it. The only thing I really knew was that I was interested in what people had to say. And I wanted to hear them saying in their own language. I wanted to be able to relate to them and be closer. So I studied languages, I traveled. And then I decided to come to the UK to learn English. At that stage, I started to think of, I look at education as a way for me to really upskill myself and help me get where I wanted to be. As I discovered, I did several jobs. I worked in different sectors, doing very different things, from sales to technical support. And then I discovered the world of marketing. I am a creative person. I need something that it's engaging. It never looks like the same every day, because otherwise I get a bit of a routine and then I start getting restless. And marketing takes a lot of boxes for me. There are a lot of ideas of what marketing is, but when you start doing it, then you realize there is so much more to it. It's a journey. During this journey, I started with the CIM because I felt I really wanted to understand how it actually worked to be able to get into it straight away. I did a master in intercultural communication because, again, for me, diversity is very important. You know, it really makes a difference when people feel represented and you are talking to them in a way that they want to listen to, they want to engage with you. So that's really, really important. And for me, putting people at the center of everything I do is the first thing. And I started with Comstore 3 years ago. It was a slightly different role. I was working in vendor marketing, still in the central team, but in a different department. And only 3 months ago, I joined the new team. And I'm just coming from London, where we had a 2-day workshop together. So it's been a bit of a journey. I am one of those people that believes in continuous improvement. So I never stop. You know, I feel that right now, for the first time after 20 years, because I've never stopped since stepping foot in the UK, which is another great thing about this country that I really, really, you know, I can't talk enough about. I am where I'm meant to be. I feel like, you know, I am where I'm meant to be. But there is so much more. So, you know, just to reiterate what Pierre said, I think the biggest thing that for me to get me where I am today is curiosity. Never stop, ask questions. I was very blessed because I met so many wonderful people in my life that really at the right time. One of them is Elam. You know, I always thought, how do I, because I as I said, you know, I'm a big fan of people. So how do I share with others? Because I know it can be hard. You know, sometimes you are asked to make these big life decisions and you're just not there yet. So having that person that says the right thing at the right time makes a huge difference. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be a migrant leader mentor. We have worked with Elam last year on an event, which was fantastic. We're hopefully going to do a lot more of that. And I'm on LinkedIn. So if anyone wants to get in touch, ask any questions, I'm, you know, more than available.
Thank you so much, Lucia. That was wonderful. And yes, we definitely connected on a personal level. And we together did a wonderful 3-day internship at Westcon Comstore last year, which we're hoping to repeat for our mentees every year. So mentees, watch out for that opportunity between Westcon Comstore and Migrant Leaders. I see that we've got several hands up from fantastic mentors who'd like to share their career stories. Rahma, would you like to go next?
Hi, I am Rama Muhammad. I am a second generation migrant, if you want to call it, because my dad came in the 60s. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I graduated from chemistry, then joined a bank, and I'm a qualified accountant. So it's really unusual route I ended up in my profession, and have been in financial services for God knows how many years, probably 25 years in financial services, in different banks and institutions across the financial services, in different types of finance MI roles, whether it's a business partnering, planning analysis, financial control, etc. Apart from in my spare time, I have I've got 2 boys. That takes a lot of their time, me. And plus, I'm also a school governor for a primary school in Battersea, which takes some time because we look at, as most people look at here, curriculum, cost, and delivering a kind of top-end education with a limited budget. That's me. That's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Rahma. I'm going to ask those who put their hands up one by one to describe their background, and then we'll pause for questions from mentees. Gert, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, my background. So I'm originally from Belgium. I live in the UK for 40 years, I think. So I'm officially a migrant as well. Although it's a bit unclear because UK feels like home already. So it's a bit like a reverse feeling. But it is what it is. Professionally, I have an education, very general education in science. I'm an agricultural engineer. And I've worked my whole career in R&D settings, very diverse settings. I worked in human pharmaceuticals, on vaccines, biotechnology, worked a lot in plant, for big plant companies, worked for biotech companies who did genetic modification of plants, worked a long time for Bayer Crop Science, currently what Monsanto is now the biggest giant in that field. And my current job is for Mars Pet Care, where I lead a team of 25 people, and that are statisticians, data engineers, data scientists. And my team is doing all kinds of research on what cats and dogs like to eat, and what keeps them healthy, and what makes them sick. And it's a very, very unique job. I think I lead the only team in the world of that side that does that type of research, which is, I think, something I really like. And my main skills, like, I'm a manager, so I do a lot of people management, a lot of strategic thinking. But throughout my career, I just love data, right? Perhaps a little bit more than I love people as well. And I really love to be like, a nerd from one side, but also, use like all that nerdiness and technical skill to do some great things for the world. And currently, that's for dogs and cats.
That's amazing.
Me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Gert. I ditto your comment about numbers. I find numbers really, really exciting. And it's wonderful for our migrant leaders mentees to see these characteristics and capabilities in the migrant leaders mentors, because they can relate to you. They too share your nerdiness and they don't know what to do with it. But when they see examples of professionals doing something constructive and valuable in their companies and in the world, then they can relate to that and begin to think about a career vision for themselves. So who could go next? Irina, would you like to go next?
Of course, yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And yes, my name is Irina Rachel, and I currently work at Anglo American, who is a leading mining company. And I work within the marketing department, the global marketing services manager. And prior to that, I also have quite interesting background. I worked at Facebook, that's now Meta, at Shell, the oil company, as well as a media agency. And even though throughout my career is within marketing, I actually have a PhD in psychology. And something that is what I would also say was one of the key tips that helped me in my career, and also that goes throughout my history, is that I strongly believe that you need to identify what your strengths are and just start building on them and utilizing them. And this is what happened throughout my career, that I would change jobs in order to be able to utilize my strengths even more and build on them. And it's also, I, like many here, love continuous learning. I believe there's never enough knowledge. You can always learn more, especially when it comes to technology, which is very important in marketing. And funny enough, I believe I worked with Kanta in almost every job I had as well, because they have so many insights. And when you're in marketing, you will know Kantar. And yes, and as also many here, I'm not originally from London. I am from Germany, but I came here 12 years ago for my studies. And yeah, if you would like to connect, reach out to me on LinkedIn and I can tell you more.
Thank you so much, Irina, for the invitation and your fantastic career story. Thank you so much. I wonder if Nejidika would like to go next.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. So my name is Njideka Chimameshi. So I will just make it short and quick. How did I get here? So I was working with one of the oil service companies in Nigeria. That was more than 15 years ago. I got transferred to the UK to continue working for the same company as a drilling fluids engineer. So my work entailed me traveling to all parts of the world, working on offshore installations. What I was meant to be doing is just to make sure that the drilling fluids meet all the specifications that are required to get the crude out of the ground, just to put it simply. Then from there, I continued working in the production FPSOs as well, traveling around the world. And then right now, at some point, I decided I wanted to contribute more into the society. So I decided to go fully into research. So right now, I am doing my research for the industry. It's kind of industry sponsored. So I'm doing this in collaboration with Newcastle University, researching into algorithms that we can use to actually train the system to use past data we have instead of measuring in the lab. We will actually train the system to be able to tell us which samples that we should be working with, and to identify the kind of crude, identify the kind of fuels or other hydrocarbons, instead of going through the lengthy and laborious tests in the lab. So this is going to save a lot of time, and then in the long run be more productive as well. So this is what I am doing currently as a doctoral research student with Newcastle University. So this is what I'm doing at the moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And
yeah,
the diversity of our mentors' careers and the technical fields they each come from, the wide range of industries they come from, never ceases to amaze me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. If I may ask, Sunny, would you like to go next in terms of your couple of minutes on your career story?
Sure, so no worries. So hi, Ellen, nice to meet you again. And hi, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day, even though it's, cold and wet and dreary again. But so a little bit about me. My name is Sunny. I'm a solution engineer at Salesforce. A little bit about my background. I've been working in the digital advertising field, the marketing field for the last 20 years now. Been working across a number of digital agencies. So I started very early in the days of just usual kind of pay-per-click advertising with Google AdWords, and was working in digital media agencies. So, shout out to Pierce as well. So, was working on a couple of clients that he's probably used to as well, such as Burberry, Apple, and helping businesses, with their Google campaigns, and then eventually moving over to social media campaigns through Facebook. So shout out to Irina as well about that as well. And then slowly drifted to the world of solution engineering. As some of you may know, Salesforce is an absolute beast in the CRM world, and there's a lot of products that we sell. So I sit within the marketing team specifically, looking after our kind of retail customers, helping them build their kind of CRM and digital platforms going forward. A piece of advice I would give any kind of mentee, trying to get into the world of advertising marketing, I think is pretty much echoing what Pierce and the other mentors have already talked about. Stay inquisitive. There is a lot of opportunity out there, even though it may not feel like it. There's hundreds of thousands of digital agencies, media market research companies that you can go for. And lots of roles, really early entry roles through the graduate schemes that will help you out going forward. And again, I'm more than welcome to connecting with anyone. So feel free to reach out in LinkedIn and let's have a chat. And that's it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Sunny. And we did, of course, our Salesforce event with Shirley Morrison and your head of people at Salesforce in the summer. We did a visualization workshop, didn't we, on helping our migrant leaders mentees devise their future. And more about that. In fact, just today, just so that mentors can see, just today, I got Shirley Morrison's book through the post. So I'm very well excited about my weekend reading from Classroom to Career, written by Shirley Morrison, who is our Migrant Leaders sponsor at Salesforce. So thank you very much, Sunny. And we've got a couple of other people who put their hands up very kindly. I wonder if Martine can go next to describe her career.
Yeah, sure. I put myself up as MDT because my name is ridiculously long, so apologies. My name is Martine Dickinson Taylor. The good news is you'll find me easily on LinkedIn because I think I'm the only one with that name, which makes me quite easy to find. I'm new to Migrant Leaders. This is my first meeting, and indeed my company Volatility UK is new to Migrant Leaders, but I have done mentoring before as part of the Ode MNC program many years ago, so I'm really excited to be invited, so thank you very much. I am an accountant. I was pleased in the sea of all these creative people around me that there was another accountant in the list, so solidarity for the numbers people, thank you. I wasn't supposed to be an accountant, as it turns out. I'm from the Top Gun era phase 1, not the second movie, so I actually wanted to be a pilot. And I went along to my careers interview, very good at science, very good at maths, which is probably a bit unusual way back then when I was going to my careers interview. And I told the guy that I wanted to be a pilot, and when he finished laughing, he said to me, "They don't let girls do that. You're going to have to choose something else." And that is literally how I ended up being an accountant. But as it turns out, it was quite a good career move for me. I did what you would call now today an apprenticeship. So I qualified and worked at the same time. It's not for the faint-hearted. It does require an awful lot of dedication. I did it as home study as well. So you really had to be really focused and keep your eyes on the goal. But I do think that stood me in very good stead in terms of my career. So I currently work for Voltex UK, which is a joint venture between HSBC and Barclays. I've been with them for 15 years. I absolutely love my job. I migrated away from a traditional finance role, so I'm now head of operational finance. I think Irina was the one that said it, where I think the best moves you make in your career when you're following your passions and your interests in terms of what you can do for a company and what you can bring to the table. But I did spend a good number of years at Barclays before that in the more traditional finance roles. Tip, I think we've had quite a few good tips already. If I give you something different, my tip would be to build your network. Be very focused on getting your network up and running and also maintaining your network. Oftentimes, job changes can happen when jobs haven't even been advertised. So my last 2 role changes, those jobs were never even advertised. They were literally conversations in a corridor, meeting someone for coffee at a hotel, and then getting a job offer. So, you know, you don't have to go the traditional route. There are other avenues, and building up your network through things like this, through LinkedIn, and other industry opportunities is really invaluable.
Thank you so much, Martin. That's wonderful. And what you said about a girl being good at science and maths, but being told to become an accountant, ditto for me. That's exactly why I became an accountant, and it's worked out fine. So
yes,
no disrespect to the world of accountancy. It's the key. It's the key to the door of business.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So another person who I know for a fact is excellent with maths and numbers is Giovanni as an engineer. So Giovanni, would you like to go for your career story next?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I do feel like I'm not bringing as much as everyone else to the table because I'm probably the I would say, least experienced one here in terms of work experience, as a bit of being put on the spot. But yes, so I am an engineer by background. I study mechanical engineering in Italy, and then 6 years ago, exactly 6 years ago, I moved to the UK, did my master's in robotics and mechatronics in Leeds. And then straight after I was found a job on the graduate scheme with Rolls-Royce, which started my professional career endeavors, jumping from, I would say, literally pillar to post to try and find exactly what I was good at as well as what I was passionate. And the graduate scheme was really good opportunity because I was able to move across different departments without even justifying why I wanted to jump from engineering to manufacturing to program management. And at the end of the graduate scheme, I decided that none of this was exactly what I wanted to do, but all of them were interesting. And I found what was that put them all together, which I consider being operation. So I joined the operational team as a manufacturing project lead. So literally all the departments I spent a bit of time during my graduate scheme in were in almost basically my title. And I was doing a lot of old aircraft engines. Probably the majority of the mentees here were myself were not even born about the engines that I was working on. Some of them were like the Spitfire engines and the, I don't know, Trent 500 for some of you that might be interested in and may remember some of these. So after that, after roughly 16 months, I got promoted as manufacturing production manager, basically. And I started managing a team of 15 technicians, which was a completely different challenge from actually interacting with people that were on the office, basically. So that was very interesting. And then the pandemic arrived, and last February I decided to join Amazon. And in Amazon operations, my eyes opened a bit more compared to what was in Rolls-Royce, and I really felt and experienced what was the operational excellence, I would say. And I experienced the sheer volume that Amazon moves on a daily basis is something that was very much impressive, and it still is right now. And this April, I joined a corporate team. So I moved off from the operations to a more strategic role, still in operations though, as a senior program manager for exports. So everything that Amazon sends across the world from UK and EU. But I'm also on my way out because in September next year, I'll be going back to school to keep learning. And I'll be joining Imperial College as a full-time MBA candidate. So if any of the mentees is in Imperial College and wants to absolutely catch up, I'll be absolutely happy to have a chat. And I'm reachable on LinkedIn. In terms of tips from my limited 5 years work experience, I would say to never be afraid of try something that is not within your background or within what you think is not within your skill set, because you might find out actually is the thing that makes you the happiest person in the office. So always be brave and be bold, and especially at the very beginning of your career, don't be afraid to try new things out. And always stay curious. I'm going back to school now to keep learning and upskilling myself. So always make sure that you stay curious and willing to learn new things.
That's fantastic, Gio. That was really good short description of the trailblazer that you are. And if our mentees or mentors would like to hear a longer presentation on your career that you described, of course, we've got it on our YouTube channel. So everyone, feel free to go and check it out. It's, I find your career fantastic, Gio, and the drive that you have shown in the last few years. Thank you for that. We've got Ashwin as well as the last mentor who's kindly put his hands up to describe his career journey, please.
Thanks, Elham. So hi everyone, my name is Ashwin. So I don't know Ash, I don't know, go by Ash, that's fine. So I came to the UK about 9 years ago as a student to study mechanical engineering, and then I did a master's in manufacturing and management as well. By 2016 is when I joined the graduate scheme in an aerospace and defense company known as BAE Systems. So some of you may have heard of it, some of you may not have. But essentially, the company produces products for the UK and the rest of the world, defense requirements. So it could be naval ships, it's military aircrafts, submarines, you name it. So it's a wide portfolio of products that we produce as an organization. So I joined the company in 2016 as a manufacturing graduate within the aircraft division. I spent a year and a half doing the graduate scheme, similar to Kantar, doing placements. So, every 6 months I kind of moved into a different role. The last 6 months, I had the opportunity to work in our India office, which was very nice, and it was a very different environment. Following that, I got picked up for an accelerated fast track program. I don't know how to explain it. And on that program, I then moved into the naval ships side of the business, moving to Glasgow. And from there, I moved down to Portsmouth to work in the naval ships maintenance side of the business, and then came back and joined the air division in 2020 as the pandemic began. And then more recently, I've started a new role within the company, where I'm now the head of people technology portfolio. So what that means is I look at the people technology strategy and roadmap for my UK and rest of the world organizations within the company. So we've got employees in 40 plus countries, and my job is to ensure the people technology, i.e. human resources technology, so your learning, talent, development, all those pieces, how do we provide the best employee experience? What are the right tool sets that we use? How do we upgrade them and ensure we are giving our employees the best experience? So yeah, that's the role I've come into a couple of months ago, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So yeah, from being a graduate in 2016 to this role, the company has been absolutely fantastic. So please do check the organization out if you do get the opportunity. My top tip is, essentially, I think I've got two top tips. So the first one is being proactive. So if you're avid readers, you may have come across Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So that's habit number one, being proactive. So if you find, if there's anything you would like to do, and you are sitting on the fence about it, just go ahead and do it. So you are being proactive right now by joining this call. So good on you for doing that. So you are embracing the habit, even if you don't know you're doing it. So carry on with that. It's really important. If you face challenges, again, be proactive. Think about how you solve a particular problem, ask for help, and so on and so forth. And then the second one is potentially is resilience. So as you go into the job market, you will face rejections. When I started applying for roles in the UK as an international student, I got several rejections. But slowly I would see, I'm going up the interview curve. So it was first online assessments I was struggling with, and then I got the hang of it. I did practice tests and I got better at it. Then it was telephone interviews. I was terrified the first time I did a telephone interview. I was really rubbish at it. But I then reflected what I could have done better. And then the next telephone interview was fantastic. Then I made it to the assessment center. First assessment center didn't work out well. Didn't know how to prepare. Even though I prepared, it was first experience, and I chalked it down to that. But again, reflect on it. What could I have done better? And then when I got to the systems assessment center, I got offered the job, and I was extremely pleased. So between the first ever application that I've done to getting the job offer in BAE Systems, I had to go through roughly 70 to 80 rejections in the UK. And that's just to say that, circumstances were different. International students do find it sometimes a bit difficult because companies need to provide visas and so on. However, the core takeaway here is the resilience. You know, if I'd stopped after the first job or the 10th job or even the 50th rejection, I probably wouldn't have made it to the company that is in which I am today. And after joining the company, they've really embraced me, and I've really managed to grow and flourish within the organization. So all it takes is one offer. So please keep resilience, in the back of your head. So be proactive, be resilient. So.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. You really took me back to my time when I was applying for jobs, and I too had many rejections. And it's great how you described it systematically. You had a process of continuously improving on your applications, on your interviews, on your assessment centers, continuous improvement mindset, so that you keep solving that problem. Really, really fantastic story. Thank you, Ashwin. And I see that Ashi has kindly put her hand up as well. Please go ahead. Welcome.
Hello, this is my first meet as I recently joined the Migrant Leaders, and I think so I'm the very fresh one here because my journey of the international migrant has just started in the very sad time, which was 2020, and I'm from India, and I started my journey to another country, which is UK, in 2020. And unfortunately, I entered the country when the time was not so up, and people were not so open even to help. So I had to face a little more challenges than other people, but yeah, that's why I would say those challenges and experiences has taught me a lot more things. So I am into the tech role, and I would start just with the advice here. When I was applying for for the company, so I'm into automation, and I work for a company which is bots for that, and we create these robots. So if anybody is interested in more towards the automation, RPA and AI, so please feel free to reach me out, because if not if I could not be of your help, so definitely I believe you could be of my help. So feel free for the conversation. And yeah, so my trip here is when I was applying for this role, definitely I was having a lot more rejection because the market was not so well that time. And almost everybody, they said go for the unpaid role or go for the whatever you are getting kind of thing, just enter the market. But I was a bit stubborn there, I would say, and I was just kept on applying of what kind of role I wanted. So I would just pass this advice to all the mentees here. Just trust your instinct. And second advice would be shameful. But when I say shameful, so be the professional shameful. Don't ever forget or don't ever hesitate to reach anybody out. Even if, because the point is, even if you are reaching 10 people, there would be a probability or possibility that one person is going to respond. So my tip would be trust your instincts and be professional shameful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashi. Really good advice. And it's a really demonstration that whatever stage of life or career you're at, and wherever you're coming from within the UK or outside, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be setbacks, there are going to be rejections. That's the common thing that I've heard in all our experiences in our careers. So being proactive, curious, resilient, and being humble and professional is really, really important. Don't be afraid. That's our message to the mentees. You are going to get there, and you're part of Migrant Leaders. So of course you're going to get there with this amazing commitment that we have from our Migrant Leaders mentors and how helpful they are. With that in mind, I'm going to try and give a little bit of time back to the mentors who've so generously shared their time this evening. So if mentees have any questions, please put your hands up, and I will pass the mic to you. And hopefully we can let the mentors start their evening relaxation sooner. So I'm just waiting for mentees to put their hands up with any questions. If you prefer to put your questions in the chat, I'm happy to voice them that way as well. We have one hand up actually, so I'm going to go straight to you. Hiba, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, there were multiple mentors actually that all mentioned that they were studying one thing and they ended up doing a completely different thing and having a background in a completely different industry. And I'm curious to see if that was actually a challenge or like how that actually played out for some of you guys.
Would anyone like to answer that? Please put your hand up if you like. Yes, plenty of hands up. Fantastic. Lucia, please go ahead.
It's a journey. So I think you need to follow your instinct, and you really need to think about where do I want to get, what's my goal, and really look for those people that can provide you some guidance to get you there. There is always sometimes you have to start from scratch, and it might feel a little bit daunting if you've done a lot of work in your previous role. But then at the same time, if you change, just make sure, obviously, depending on circumstances, but if you have the opportunity to just try things out that better fit your desire, where you want to get, your goals, then it will work out. It might take a little bit of extra work, or the training, getting up to scratch, or sometimes you have to learn something completely new. I did it over and over and over again. In all of my roles, they were all very different, but they all led me where I am today. So it's yeah, I look back at it, I say just a learning journey that got me where I wanted to be.
Thank you so much, Lucia. Rahma, would you like to respond to that question regarding studying one subject but ending up in jobs that are technically in a different field?
Yeah, so I did a degree in chemistry, which is unusual, which I think a lot of people do, and then ended up through the banking financial services as a grad, become an accountant. I think the skills are very similar. I think it's about your attitude, resilience, the skills more than the knowledge, if that makes sense. When you're a young person, you develop those skills, the way you problem solve, your attitude to work, your resilience. That's why I look in a candidate. I don't really think about their qualification as such. Yes, your degree gives you a door, it opens a door, but the skills are more important because it's very binary. You have those skills inbuilt in you. And that's what makes people great. So I transferred, if you look up this chemistry degree to finance, the company sponsored me to do the qualification. The skills of chemistry and science is observe, record, understand, and explain. Same skills in finance as well. So there's transferable skills from your degree are very important. You don't realize it. It's like, I would say in my graduate year, I would say 95% of us from chemistry are accountants, which is unusual, maybe an unusual year, but it's the skills that are more transferable. People think about the knowledge when they learn a degree, but it's the skills, like presenting information to your dissertation. That's a skill set. How you summarize information, get the key message across. Those are the skills in finance you need to present, right? So, you know what I mean? Or in consultancy, how do you take information, disseminate it? Those skills. Those are the skills that if you learn it, are more easier to it helps you to transfer to whatever profession you want to join. So I don't think you should be hung about your degree as such, because when you're 18 to 21 as a degree, do you really know what you want to do in your career? I didn't. You know what I mean? So I was probably still, not sure. Yeah, I like science. I did a chemistry degree. I enjoyed it. But then when you come out, you might say, actually, I don't want to do that. And, in the UK, especially in the UK, you can just switch over and do something different, as people have highlighted. So I think people just got to be focused on the skill set, develop the skills, and then it should be easier. So that's what I did anyway. That's my kind of movements across.
Thank you, Rahma. And I would echo that in the UK, you could be very strong and even do a STEM subject degree, but transfer those skills to the world of finance and business in particular.
Just to throw a curveball, Ellen, I got a friend who did a history degree. He's now a qualified doctor. Just to tell you that.
Interesting, because I was going to say the other way around, though, mentees, migrant leaders mentees, be careful, because if you want to go into highly technical jobs like medicine or engineering, it would be good that you find your technical sweet spot earlier. But
it's true.
But if your friend did a history degree and changed his mind and then had to do a bit of a U-turn and go and study medicine, that's okay. Maybe that's where his talents were. And if he had guidance to begin with, he would have probably got on that path earlier.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he did a 3-year degree course, did a 1-year work, hated it, then converted to a 4-year medicine rather than a 5-year medicine course, if that makes sense. And then he's a qualified doctor. So I think, as I said before, when you're 18, are you really sure this is your career path? Is it because people around you, schools, friends, family, peers, whatever, tell you this is your career path? You shouldn't be restricted to it. You shouldn't be, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be just, that's it. That's I'm now pigeonholed. That's it. You can a bit older, when you're mature, to say, actually, I don't like it. I want to go, you know what I mean? Like you've done. You've changed, right? You've gone from accountancy into this, right? So no one should restrict us as an individual, because you can find your niche later in life.
Absolutely. And to get the guidance and insights as early as possible. And that's what's really great about migrant leaders. So Bolu, I see that you've put your hand up and you haven't spoken so far.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. So I'll just like to give what I need is advice. So I'll just give like a quick background of my education. So I did my bachelor's degree in accounting. I finished that in 2019 in Nigeria. And then I came to the UK for my master's degree in finance and accounting. And I finished that in 2021. While I was doing all of that, I also completed my ACCA qualification. So that is done. But what I am struggling with right now is the experience. So I have the education and I have the skills from the education, but I've not been able to like find the proper job to gain that experience that would help me to build my career. So that is where I'm struggling with. And I'd like any advice from all the mentors here for what I can do.
Well, if I may start, I had a similar problem 25 years ago, partly because of being a migrant and the challenges that I had gone through. One of the best ways of getting a foot in the door with accounting and finance is look for a job in the subsidiary of a big global company, because that could be your foot in the door, maybe a new acquisition that are looking for someone a bit tenacious, an accountant who can do the finance job, but also help the acquisition integration and manage teams, someone a little bit different, someone a bit tenacious. Sometimes these are smaller divisions of big companies need. Look for those jobs. Once you're in a big company, even at a divisional level or a business unit level, and you prove your worth and do really well, then you can get promotions and go and work at the group level as opportunities present themselves. That's one way in. I don't know if other mentors have any other suggestions.
Yeah, I'd echo that, because I think in general, big companies invest more in people development than smaller ones, just because they have the money and the scale to do that. So likely big companies are more likely to take on people with less experience and just, to take them on more like general criteria, like motivation, etc., and not necessarily by years-long experience. So I think that's the most logical entry point to get started.
That's wonderful. And I guess if that is a logical entry point and method, then I would say, Bolu, farm that, because there will be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of business units and divisions of big companies who have job openings for someone like yourself. Then farm that strategy. In other words, really go for it and create a blueprint application for that kind of company, and then do it through 200 applications based on that excellent blueprint that you then customize for each company and each job. But really farm that strategy. In other words, do lots of that to implement that strategy. And if you get 5-10 interviews, one of them is going to land, maybe even more.
I'll just jump in. I think I've graduated like 4 years ago, and I'm about to go back into the daunting process of being a student and sending thousands of applications to get probably one interview. So there's a few things I would like to say. To follow directly, I'm not sure what level you're looking, but I know for a thing that Bloomberg has a program which is called Analytics and Sales, and I can guarantee it's a full tech fintech role. There's got almost nothing to do with sales itself, and they are doing internships all year round. They have got open application all year round, and they also got like that with scheme called exactly the same. But if you get an internship, then you are automatically offered a role on the graduate scheme. And my best friend started in there and works for Bloomberg. So if you ever need any tips or tricks or whatever, any conversation, just reach out or we can organize a call. So that's number one. What I wanted to say one thing about studying something and then going to do something completely different, which is I'm gonna kind of probably shut a bit of a mirror here for you guys, and I'm sorry, but when you come out of university, you know absolutely nothing. And I say that very unfortunately that is the case. Okay. So whatever company you're gonna go for, they assume you know absolutely nothing, and they'll teach you how to do the job. What you really need to learn is how to, as was said before by Rama, how to problem solve, how to work in a group, how to present in front of people. Like those are the soft skills the company are looking for. No one is looking, if you study engineering, no one is looking for you to explain the Bernoulli equation during an interview. That there won't be like a company that will ask you that. So I think that studying something, for example, for me, studying engineering was a big advantage when I then ended up in operation, because I knew the engineering background behind the operational product that I was making. And that was a big advantage, because once you know the technical concept and how like milling machine, technical drawing needs to be read and so on, that gives you a competitive advantage to, for example, all your peers that study business management and operations. As soon as they see an engineering problem, they don't know where to start. You got like that problem solving skill. So I think studying something and then doing something else is not going to be a challenge, but sometimes could actually be an advantage. And as soon as you guys come out of university, you know nothing. I'm about to go back and get an MBA, which probably together with a PhD is one of the highest recognition that you could get. And I'm probably gonna go in a company that assume that I know absolutely nothing coming out of an MBA. So yeah, that was just my intervention, but I wanted to make that very clear for these young students, because unfortunately that is the case.
That is brilliant, Gio. And my own children always challenge me on this, the value of education. And what I would say is kind of echoing what you're saying, that yes, when we graduate from universities, we know nothing. You know, I can tell you my own anecdotes and ridiculous situations where I was told that Miller and Modigliani's work on dividend policy has nothing to do with real life. So everything I studied at university and loved meant nothing in the workplace. But in reality, a solid education actually gives you the tools for thinking. It gives you the tools to work under pressure, work in a team, to have a stakeholders to answer to have tutors and teachers to convince, to work towards grades and achieve things. So it gives you the tools for thinking and working that you're going to later use. So education in that regard is extremely useful and essential. And of course, it is the key to those companies, because it demonstrates to those companies that you have a certain caliber and capabilities. But absolutely, I have seen Oxford, Cambridge graduates enter EY who expected to be treated like kings and queens. And that did not go down well with me or anybody, because I too assumed that they know nothing and they have to be willing to learn. So I always say to them, don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all. It's not my quotation, I heard it somewhere else, but I love it. Don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all, because we're all learning. We are all learning. So I see that, Grace, you have your hands up. Would you like to speak?
Hi, yeah, my name is Grace, and I just wanted to ask if any of you guys had any setbacks and how you were able to grow from them rather than just be upset about it. And I was also wondering if any of you suffered from imposter syndrome during any time in your career and how you were able to grow from that.
Would anyone like to answer that? Please speak up.
I
can go for imposter syndrome. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. You go for it.
Yeah. I come across that a lot actually with women that I mentor more than men. Imposter syndrome. Definitely have suffered from it myself. Because I qualified quite early in my career, I spent my early years managing teams that had an average age much older than I was myself. And it's really hard to build that credibility when you yourself don't think you have it. You are your own worst enemy. And I did a course a few years ago, a Go Mad course. It was, I can't remember the name of the guy that wrote the book, but if I find it, I'll put it in the chat. But it was really focused on self-talk and how important self-talk is. And that really helped me in terms of shutting that voice up or changing the tenor of that voice to think about what I can possibly do to make myself feel more comfortable in this situation, rather than believing the voice in my head saying, you're not good enough for this, you've not done this before, because it's really not helpful. And I know that you know that, that's probably why you're asking the question. But I would encourage you to try and think about how you can turn that self-talk to your advantage, and get it to kick you at the butt rather than kick you down. I'll put I think it was Gilbert, I can't remember his first name, but I'll find the book and I'll put the book in the chat for you, because I think it is a really good framework, the Go Mad framework, in terms of your mindset on how you tackle tasks, how you get other people involved, how you use your network, and how you use your self-talk to motivate yourself. So I'll put it in the chat when I find it.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Martine. And I can add regarding the imposter syndrome, I suffered from it as well for exactly the same reasons. I got my first job after qualifying as an accountant. My first financial controller role at GE was when I was 25, and I was the only female in the management team. And the management team, most of them were twice my age, in an engineering business. So many reasons why the imposter syndrome was there, but I knew that I cannot fail. I must not fail. I had worked too hard to get that financial controller job. So failure wasn't an option. And that actually energized me to solve that problem by trying to certainly engage with people and be honest and authentic with them, to say that, look, I know I'm young, but I want to work with you to solve your problems. It was never about me. It was always about my colleagues and the business and helping us succeed together. And it was also about gaining some credibility personally with my colleagues by having some quick wins. I remember when the GE internal audit was about to happen, I worked very hard with my finance team so that we achieved Six Sigma. In fact, we ended up being the first business in GE that achieved that. We were almost perfection as a department, and that boosted the morale of the whole team. So some quick wins early on when we enter a place, whether it's a university or a new company or a new role, some quick wins builds our own confidence and credibility, and the imposter syndrome voice will then keep quiet, because it's very difficult for that voice to speak up when you keep succeeding and helping the people around you succeed. And that voice becomes more and more quiet and more quiet until most of the time it's not even there. So I see, Anchal, your hand is up. Please do speak up if you don't mind.
Hello, I'm Anchal. My question is, what would you say is the most rewarding and valued accomplishment in your career so far?
Who would like to answer that?
I'll go if that's okay. So I think for me, it goes all the way back to the first job offer that I got. And the reason why it was so rewarding is it was not just because it was a personal achievement. It's because, you know, my family was all the way in India, and I was living by myself, you know, in the UK, applying for these jobs, getting rejections, trying again. But what made it all worth it was when I got to break the news to my father, who has been my biggest inspiration all my life. I've looked up to him since I was young, and I still look up to him. And I told him the news that I've been offered a job in this company, and he said, okay. And then he passed the phone to my mum, which for me, I was like, oh, this is standard father behavior. And then my mum told me, what did you just tell your dad? And I said, why do you ask? And she said, he has the biggest smile on his face. And that moment will forever be the best moment or achievement in my life. To hear that, given all the hard work that he had done to send me abroad, pay for my tuition, all the sacrifices he has made, just to hear my mum say he has the biggest smile on his face right now, that was the most rewarding moment so far.
Ashwin, that was an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I see that Charis, you have your hands up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I think I have a question for everyone when it comes to accelerating the professional and personal life. In terms of managing that, how did you manage, like, let's say, office politics? And also, I think Alhamdulillah mentioned about making sure to have quick wins. Are there other advice when it comes to making sure that you get a very quick career progression in a certain industry, let's say technology?
Do you know, Charis, while other mentors think about that and answer it, I'll give you my answer at least. If someone pushed me to say, what is the single most important thing that has contributed to your accelerated career growth? I now realize what it is. It wasn't just talent or hard work or luck, although those things are important for everybody, but it was simply the perspective from which I did everything. I always wanted to solve other people's problems. I always did my job with my colleagues' problems, my department's problems, my company's problems in mind. and then interweaved in that perspective of solving other people's problems rather than me, interweaved in that was commercial value. Always ask yourself, what commercial value am I adding to this organization? Because we work in businesses. And then after 23 years as a finance director in big companies, GE, News Corp, EY, I moved to launch Migrant Leaders. And guess what? It's not that different. It's not commercial value, but it's value creation. So I now realize it's not just about commercial value. Whatever organization you work in, whatever department you work in, whatever industry you work in, you've got to suss out what creates value in that place. And then do that. Link everything you do to value creation. Everything you do to value creation. Commercial value in businesses, customer experience. It's all about how the customer feels. Feedback from your colleagues. It's all about value creation. You keep doing that every day, better and better than yesterday, and people will notice, and they'll put you on leadership programs, they'll put you on training. And if the place you are at doesn't notice that, either they are not clever enough to notice what is value, or they are discriminatory, in which case leave as soon as possible and go and find a place that will recognize your talents. So that's one version of the answer. I don't know if anyone else has anything else other than that.
Yeah, from my office politics, interesting question about. So I agree with Ellen about hard work, talent, luck is a factor, but not a contributing factor. The other in my career, you need, and it's not a good word, you need a sponsor in the organization who thinks highly of you and can influence your career. So in my early days as a graduate, when I finished my grad scheme on NatWest, I got promoted every year for 3 years. Was I good? Probably not. Was I lucky? Yes. But I had a sponsor who thought, this guy, we have a connection. He is bright, he's articulate, he works hard, he does all the skills, and I can give him opportunities to grow. So you need that kind of connection with someone who can see your career in an office, in especially in an organization. So big organizations, you need that. And great, the great leaders, if you go and talk to them, they've had sponsors in their life got them to the position where they are now, because that without those sponsors, it's very difficult to get doors opening. You can work hard. So that's one thing you do need. And you need to build networks. It's key for networks. A lot of the jobs, and someone said it before, I don't think in any organization have I got a job through an interview. I've never have got an interview. Someone's rang me out the blue because I've worked with them or done something or something else. We've been in meetings. They like me. They've got an opportunity. We have a coffee. Luckily you might even get, dinner or lunch or whatever, right? But mostly it's coffee, and they speak to you about the opportunity. It's probably thinking they like you, you like them, and etc. And it's about that kind of connection with that individual. So most corporates work like that. I know it's not when you're on a grad, you don't think like that, but that's reality of organizations. And it's same. I mean, I worked for KPMG. I had associate director who picked me on every single assignment that she worked on. She could not stop picking me. She'd always pick me. And I even asked her for years later, I said, why do you pick me? Because I like you. That's it. As I said before, was I the best? Probably not. Could someone else do a better job than me? Probably, but she trusts. There's a little trust and relationship issue. And they know that you will always deliver for them, and they think, they do like you as a person. So that kind of helps your career path, especially in office environments, especially in corporate entities, etc. So those are the kind of things that has helped. In terms of what's the other question? I think someone said about what similar to Ashwin's question about being proud. Professionally, I think you have to add value, like Ellen says, and I've been in things where we've done in finance that had value from a thing. Years ago, did a TV campaign It was on TV. We did a shoot. I did a shoot with the thing as a finance person, not me per se, but with the company. And it was a great success, and still a great success, and still talks about it. So I think you just need to add value for the organization, come up with that creativity, etc. Those are the kind of things. And in terms of proud, similar to Ashwin as well, I think my dad, being a second, being raised in the UK, my dad was very proud when I got onto a NatWest scheme as a grad. I think he was very proud of the day, because they've made the sacrifices to come over here and put me through the chances that gives opportunity for all of us, for me anyway, to have a different lifestyle. And they've made that decision. So they've missed, their families, their lifestyle, their friends, everything, for the opportunity for their children to have a different life to them. So I think that recognition was very important. So when I got it, A, he was surprised, so was I, and two, still the moment that he was still saying, so very important, etc.
Thank you so much, Rama. That was really, really great. We have just arrived at 8 o'clock. That is our time up. If one other person has got a must-make comment, then please go ahead before we close off our conference as promised.
I just wanted to add one thing to the points you've already made. They're all very valid, but I think you also need to have a vision of where you want to get. Understand that. I'm not saying that when you get into a job, you have to think about moving on to the next one straight away, but think about, where do I want to be? Where do I want this to take me? And what is going to get you there? Sometimes it's connections, sometimes it's learning, sometimes it's exposure to different departments. Learn about the business as a whole. Don't just work where you are. Connect with as many people as possible from different departments, and because everybody is equally important. Everybody has a very specific job that allows for that company to be successful, and you want to understand that, and it will also help you figure it out along the way. So that vision is really, really important to get you, as far as you want to take it. And as Elam said, if it's a company that doesn't really focus on developing you, they're quite hard for you to sit there for the rest of your life, then maybe, it's okay to look for something else that it fulfills you.
I would like to just add one sentence, if it's possible.
Please go ahead.
When you talk about acceleration, I would advise, don't always think about vertical acceleration, think about horizontal, because this is then exactly how you will build your network. And that's the easiest way in the beginning when you're just new. Don't always think about, how can I get the next promotion, next job? How can you also grow your knowledge for that area? That's it.
Really, really good point, Irina, in terms of the breadth of experience and depth of experience. Sometimes getting vertical promotions gives you breadth of experience, but there comes a time when you need to get some depth and substance behind your experience, and horizontal moves do that. Give you a view of a whole business and network and so on. So thank you very much for that very helpful comment, Irina and Lucia as well. So everyone, I cannot thank you enough. This has been a really engaging conference. I know our mentees will really benefit from it. Mentors, Migrant Leaders mentors have been super generous with their time and their invitation to be connected with on LinkedIn, so that if there are any questions afterwards, you can ask them. This is a really great opportunity for you not to get just only advice and comments and insights, but also make connections with Migrant Leaders mentors who've been so generous. Very, very generous indeed. Thank you so much, everyone, Migrant Leaders mentors and mentees, and I really look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you.